All right, welcome to the Chapter 8 practice test. So the first thing I ask you to do is fill in the relative frequency. So the frequency is how many times these happen. These are quiz scores. So one person got a 10, two people got a 9, etc. So the first thing you want to do is you want to do the relative frequency, you want to add up all these numbers. So for time purposes, I typed them in, I added them up, and I got 40. Okay, so these numbers work really nice. So that means 10 people out of 40 got a 6, which is 0.25. That's a quarter. 13 people out of 40 did this. And then to get the decimal, right, you just take 13 divided by 40. So it's 0.325, 0.325. All right, 1 out of 40 is 0.025. And all I'm going to do is just like start writing the answers in here, because you're just doing 2 out of 40, 7 out of 40. That's out of 40. So you're going to get these nice decimals for 4 out of 40. This will be twice as much, so B will be 0.05. 0.175. There's the 32 with a 5. This one would be 5 out of 40, which is an eighth, which would be 0.125. The zero is the zero in the front is important because it communicates the fact that there's a decimal there. So I always put it. This would be 0. This would be 1, which is the same as the first one, 0.025. Kind of had my hand over the top of my writing, so I'll try and fix that for the rest of this. 0, 0, and then 1 again is 0.025. I did no rounding on this, so you should be able to add all of this up, and you would get 1, because that's how the scores are distributed. So here the distribution is in whole numbers. This is the distribution in terms of a decimal, which would add up to 1. So A is done. The mode is the most frequent. I know I said those backwards in class one day. That was bad, Mr. Jackie. So the mode is the most frequent, so that happens to be 13, which is 7. So that would be 7. The median is the middle number. So there's 40, right? So you got to go 20 and 20. So if there's no true middle, you average the two middles. So there's 40 total, so you got to go 20 in. So if I go 1, 3, that is 10, and then 23 would take me up to there. So the middle is actually 7 as well. All right, so it's 7 and then 7. And then the mean of the scores, where there's 40 total scores. So I'm going to divide by 40. All right, so I'm just going to type this into the calculator. Well, no, I'm going to demonstrate it better than that. You need to write this down so you can get credit for in case you type something wrong on the calculator. So 10 happens once, 9 happens twice, and 8 happens 7 times, and 7 happens 13 times, right? And then 6 happens 10 times. 5 happens 5 times. 4 doesn't happen. 3 happens once, so I can just put 3. And 0 happens once. So plus 0, but you really don't need that on there. And then you're going to take all of this and you're going to divide it by 40, because there's 40 total scores. So let me double check my work here. 10 happens once, 9 happens twice, 8 happens 7 times, 7 happens 13 times, 6 happens 10 times, 5 happens 5 times, 3 happens up. Yep, so we add all that up, divide by 40. Make sure if you type in the calculator, you use parentheses here and here, and you should get 6.575. Now when the median and the average are kind of close together, it means the data is not super spread out, and that's true. It's all kind of compacted around scores of 8, 7, and 6. There is this one 0 extraneous here. I can't remember if I got this as real data or if it was something I just made up off the top of my head. Okay, next page. So I want you to go through and find the standard deviation using this score, using this here, and then you take the square root to find the standard deviation. So the first thing you have to know is the average. So we're going to type these in. 10 plus 14 plus 15 plus 18 plus 20. All right, that's 77. Divided by 5, because there's 5 numbers. So that's 15.4. All right, 15.4. So I put that down here. 15.4, I'm going to write it every time. 15.4, 15.4, 15.4. Then you do this minus this, which would be negative 5.4, negative 1.4. That minus that would be negative 0.4. Again, I put the 0 there to draw attention to the decimal point. This would be 2.6. That minus that's positive. That minus that is 4. Oops, that's a 4. So it's 4.6. All right. Then you just take this column and you square it. And so if I take, and when you square a negative number, right, it needs to go in parentheses. So negative 5.4 quantity squared is 2916. So 29.16. And then you square this one, 1.96. And you square this one, you get 0.16, right? For time purposes, I'm not sitting here and typing them all in, but 2.6 squared. 2.6 squared is 6.76. So 6.76. Then you square this one, 21.16. All right? Then we add all these up and divide it by 5, and that is the variance. So the sigma squared is variance. And you're going to add all these up, 26, because that's summation, that's E right there, that means summation. So we go 29.16 plus 1.96 plus 0.16 plus 6.76 plus 21.16 equals 59.20, 59.20. We're going to divide that by 5. And that would be our variance. So divided by 5, 1184. So sigma squared is equal to 11.84. So sigma is the square root of 11.84, which is approximately equal to 3.441. All right, there it is. Now, imagine a number line where 80 is the center and then the spaces are 5. That's how you do this. So 80 is the middle, so imagine a number line where 80 is the middle, and then you go up one space, that's one standard deviation, you're at 85. You go up another standard deviation, you are at 90, and another standard deviation, you are at 95. So the standard deviation tells you how big to make the marks for a z-score of 1, 2, and 3, right? So there's like 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now this way would be 75, that'd be negative 1, that'd be below, and then negative 2 would be 70, and then negative 3 steps below would be 65. So 80 is the center because that's your average, and then you're going up by a standard deviation of 5. So your step size, right? The standard deviation tells you the step size. It's 2 standard deviations below. Two standard deviations below would be 70. Okay, 1.5 standard deviations. Well, 1 standard deviation would be this, 2 standard deviations would be that, so it'd be halfway in the middle on that. So it'd be 85 plus 90 divided by 2, which is 87.5. Okay, so it's halfway in the middle. Then what's the z-score for 93? So 93, so there's your score. So you just go score, which is 93, minus the mean, which was the 80, divided by standard deviation of 5. So that would be 13 divided by 5, which is a nice decimal, 2.6. So that's the z-score. So you're 2, not 2.5 standard deviations above, you are 2.6 standard deviations above. All right, now, cross-country runners. Okay. So this is 80 and 20, right? 80th percentile. So you are 80% or below. So I'm going to do 0.8 times 125, which is 100. So there's 100 here in this, and that's with you, and then there's 25 up here. So it's a 25 goes with 20%, and 100 goes with the 80. So 100 is in the 80th percentile. So that means there's 25 above you, right? So if there's 25 above you, you are 26th. Okay, so it's a 25-100 split or a 20-80 split. The range is the high and the low, so it's 20 minus 3, which is 17. The median is the middle number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's no true middle, so we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go right there. So it's halfway between 11 and 12. That'd be 11.5. The first quartile is the median of the bottom, so that would be 6, and 16 would be the median of the upper part of the quartile. Okay, the last two questions are related to the binomial distribution. So your probability of success is a third, so we want to know 2. So we go C, 5, comma, 2. So that'd be all the ways to have 2 successes out of 5. In order doesn't matter, so you could have the 2 successes in the beginning or the 2 successes at the end. And then it's 1/3 to the second power, because that and that always match. And then the failure rate is 2/3, and that would be 3, because that and that always make that. So we're going to go to C52. So I go to math, and I go to probability, and I choose up the C, and I do 5 and 2. And then I push myself forward, and I do 1 divided by 3, and then I do that to the second power, and then I do parentheses 2 divided by 3, and I do that to the third power, and I get 0.329. 0.329. And again, I put the 0 there to draw attention to the fact that it's a decimal. Okay, the last one is right here, and this is just a story problem where you have to sort out the information. So we want to know, so there's 4 at bats, we're going to go 2 for 4. So the probability of X is 2, would be C, there's a total of 4, and then 2, and then the probability of hitting it is 350, so 0.350 to the second power. And that means there's a 65%, so 0.650 of not hitting it, and that would be 2 as well. So that and that match, that plus that is that. Okay, we type this in. I'm going to go up here and maybe just edit this. I don't know if that's faster or not. So I'm going to change this to a 4. I'm going to change this to a 0.35. I'm going to change this to a 0.65. I'm going to change that to a 2. So I edited what I did. So C42, 0.35 to the second, 0.65 to the second. Answer 311. So 0.311. 311. Boom.